Producing over 500 hours per week of talk radio, GCN Live is a world leader in talk radio. Archives for the following program can be found at gcnlive.com.
The stocks discussed on Wall Street Raw are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. If considering on acting on information, we first recommend you seek out a competent, licensed professional for advice.
What kingdom has sent you?
The kingdom of the Most High.
Nothing you have ever experienced can prepare you for the unbridled carnage you're about to witness. Super Bowl, the World Series, they don't know what pressure is. In this building, it's either kill or be killed. You make no friends in the pits and you take no prisoners. 1 minute, you're up $500,000 in soybeans, and the next, boom, your kids don't go to college and they breathe the Zester Bentley. Are you with me?
The Genesis Communication Network is proud to bring you Wall Street Raw with nationally recognized market timer and previous Wall Street Week elf, Mark Leibovit, welcoming you on board his financial time machine. And here is the elf himself, Mark Leibovit.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's Saturday, January 30th. Welcome to Wall Street Raw. I'm your host, Mark Leibovit. Broadcasting live today from Vancouver, British Columbia, on the road this week, and we had a little bit of a technical problem with the internet broadcasting equipment. So I'm on the phone, and hopefully everything is clear and understandable here on a remote broadcast. Up here at the World Outlook Conference, being hosted by Michael Campbell, who's probably considered the first family of Vancouver, British Columbia. His brother Gordon Campbell used to be prime minister here, and or maybe it's premier. I'm not quite sure what the title actually is, but invited up every year. I was a keynote speaker last night. We had about 1,200 people show up, and great audience here in Canada. I really enjoy doing this every year. Again, thank you for joining us on our show here. I know you have a lot of choices on a Saturday morning, and hopefully we can make it well worth your time. And a very interesting week this past week. For the week, the Dow gained 2.3% after the big volatility that came in yesterday. The S&P added 1.7%, and the NASDAQ increased 0.5%. That left the Dow down still 5.5% for the month, and or a loss of 959 points. NASDAQ lost 7.9%, or 394 points in January. Its largest monthly loss since May 2010, and the S&P was down 103 points, or 5%, although at one point last week, the S&P was down 11% since the start of the year. An index of U.S. Treasury bonds returned 1.8% in January, which has been the best month of the year for the bonds over the past few years, and the yield on the 10-year note dropped 24 basis points for the month. Meanwhile, gold and silver shared the safe haven spotlight with treasuries. Gold gained $58.60. I've been telling you about gold here in these broadcasts for the last several weeks. It was up 6% for the month, and silver added 53 cents, or 3.8%. And that was despite the fact the U.S. dollar gained over 1%. It's still below its November highs, but generally, you know, gold and silver seem to go opposite of the U.S. dollar, but this time that didn't happen. Well, the big story, and this gets to the interview, which is I pre-taped with Sinclair No. We're going to hear in segment 2. The Bank of Japan said it would adopt a negative interest rate policy for the first time, and this gets back to the statements I've been making on the show from day one and been writing my newsletter for a couple decades, how the markets are rigged worldwide, and it's just incredible. And this move on the part of Japan was more than a textbook example of what central governments are doing to rig markets. We had Mario Draghi in Europe driving rates down, putting them in negative territory. Now in Japan, there have been other instances in other countries before now. Question is it going to happen here in the West, in the U.S., or Canada? The funny thing is just a week prior, Bank of Japan governor, and if I could pronounce his name correctly, Haruhiko Kuroda, said he was not thinking of adopting a negative interest rate policy at all, signaling that any further monetary easing would likely take the form of an expansion of its current and massive asset buying program. I guess it's their version of the QE2, QE3 or QE4, which I think is still becoming here in the U.S. But at that time, with this change in interest rates, it was really a shocking for the world markets. But, when you drive interest rates down like that, it forces banks to lend money because it costs them money to keep funds with the negative interest rates. The yen sold off, which increases exports. It increases the probability stocks are going to be purchased. So this is why we had the huge day in the Dow Industrials on Friday with a Dow up nearly 400 points. It's almost a mirror of what we saw back in August. If you remember when we hit the August low, that's around August 24th. That was the day, if you recall, the Dow Industrials was down about 1,000 points in the morning and then recovered. China made a dramatic move at that point, and suddenly the market reverses, and then we had this rally. I guess you would call it a rally in the sense that most stocks didn't participate into the end of the year, more or less, and then we sold off again, and we had this big sell-off here from late December into January. All this still signals the possibility of a bear market, in my view, and nothing really has changed it, but it certainly demonstrates how central banks can come in and manipulate the markets, and they're trying to support them artificially. The question is how many countries can have negative interest rates, meaning, if you put money in the bank, it costs you money to put money into your checking account or savings account. They're not paying you anything. It's bad enough you were getting nothing to begin with, but then it's negative. So what do you do with your money? And this forces money into other places. And for big money managers and for the banks, it puts them into the position of putting into the stock market or bond market, which obviously is a lot more risky than just buying CDs or any other vehicle that doesn't pay any interest or cost you money. So these negative interest rates in Japan are not being applied at the retail level, but it's directed at the banks and the reserves held by banks and the central bank. But if these negative rates last long enough, it could work to the consumer level. And for now, the idea is to nudge banks to make loans and circulate money through the economy with a little punishment for banks that hoard cash. So in theory, interest rates below zero should reduce borrowing costs for companies and households, driving demand for loans. In practice, there's a risk that the policy might do more harm than good. If banks make more customers pay to hold their money, cash may go under the mattress instead. We've seen negative interest rates over the past year. So in the Eurozone and Sweden, Denmark, and Switzerland, and we really don't know yet how it's going to play out, and we really don't have historic data to guide us. The time is really different. We've heard this before, but it is true. For the Eurozone and now Japan, rates are at the lowest levels in the last 500 years. And yes, Deutsche Bank did look that far back in its sovereign debt records. So what to do with negative interest rates telling us about the global economy? It would appear to be a long-term, low-growth and low-inflation environment. Perhaps the central bankers, including the Fed, need to rethink their ideas about acceptable levels of inflation. Perhaps a 2% rate of inflation is too low. So the action by the Bank of Japan will certainly influence the Fed's thinking on future interest rates. But as I said at the top of the hour, I think they're all in cahoots. I think Yellen couldn't do anything. She had already raised rates a tiny bit, as you know, in the December meeting. The stock market collapsed, didn't like it at all. Draghi came out just afterwards saying he would do just about anything, so the market tried to bounce a little bit. That didn't work. So they got on the phone and they called Japan, and they're doing it. And I'm sure China is going to get involved at some point, as they have already, doing their best to try to support the market. So what does this really tell us? Rigged markets. We really want to be in rigged markets. And I guess if you feel the government's going to bail you out, how negative can interest rates go? Will that change the scenario overall? Meanwhile, stay tuned. We're going to be talking to Sinclair No in segment 2 and cover this in more detail.
You're listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovit. Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com for information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
attorney spokesperson Adam Pileski of the Pileski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
As your body ages, there's a 10% decline in your ability to repair each passing decade after the age 28. By age 40, your ability to repair from demanding manual labor, exercise, or a stressful desk job has declined by 12%. By using One World Whey, you supercharge your body's ability to repair and eliminate inflammation. Our unique frequency-encoded whey protein, coupled with our high-quality whey, improves your cell's ability to make protein, which is to say, repair itself.
My name is Jonathan Wright, and I'm 40 years old. I recently went from a desk job to a manual labor job. Normally, I'm worn out. With energy-enhanced One World Whey, I now recover so quickly that I can perform very hard work all day long. I use energy-enhanced One World Whey for breakfast and lunch, and I experience less hunger throughout the day. I have a 30% increase in energy, and I just feel better. I plan to make energy-enhanced One World Whey a permanent part of my lifestyle.
Call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworld.com.
If you're like me, you're concerned about the stock market and the economy. You're asking the questions, but it just doesn't seem that you're getting the right answers. Well, my friends at the Wealth Preservation Institute not only have the answers, but they put together a free report, How to Survive the Upcoming Economic Collapse and Protect Your 401ks, IRAs, savings, and retirement income. Don't hesitate. This report's for free for a limited time by calling 888-772-2929. That's 888-772-2929. Take back your financial lives today.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Blockit Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockitPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockitPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockitPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS? Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't take on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely. We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS. If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
Think positive. Never show any sign of weakness. Always go for the throat. Buy low, sell high. Fear, that's the other guy's problem.
Welcome back to the Wall Street Raw radio show with Mark Leibovit, your time machine for the financial markets. Want to know more? Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com. Now, here's the elf himself, Mark Leibovit.
Welcoming back my good friend Sinclair No, KFNN 1510 in Phoenix, and author of the blog EatTheBankers.com on this Saturday morning. Unbelievable day, Sinclair. We joke, maybe we shouldn't be joking, but we've been talking about market rigging for almost a decade now, and it's been going on before that, right?
Everything is rigged. Everything.
Everything is rigged. So here we have the situation where the market collapsed, and we're sort of speculating what will the central banks do to try to bolster the stock market. Will QE4 start on the part of Janet Yellen? And here this morning we find out the Bank of Japan, one of the allies in the market rigging scheme, comes in and sharply cuts interest rates, which actually, from what I understand, drives interest rates into negative territory in Japan, which forces money into the markets.
Yeah, this was a shocker. I mean, and no question about it, Bank of Japan crossed the Rubicon on this one. Now, it doesn't really kick into effect right away, and it'll be kind of slow, and it's not going to affect everything over in Japan. But they went from a positive 0.1% to a negative 0.1%. And that's a pretty big move for the third largest economy on the planet. It's not the first time that we've seen negative interest rates, of course. The ECB cut a key rate into negative territory December 3rd. Sweden has used negative rates. Denmark, Switzerland, of course, moved its deposit rate below zero for the first time since the 70s. So we've seen it before, but this was really a bit of a shocker from the Bank of Japan. Nobody was predicting this, and with very good reason, because just 1 week ago, the Bank of Japan governor, Haruhiko Kuroda, essentially the equivalent of Janet Yellen to the Bank of Japan, 1 week ago he said he was not thinking of adopting a negative interest rate policy right now. He was saying maybe we'll be looking at more monetary easing to try and achieve some expansion, maybe expanding the asset buying program that they have under Abenomics there, which is massive. But apparently that just wasn't enough, so they went negative.
The banks are punished by this because, if they don't lend out money, it's worse for them.
Yeah, and this is really a bit of a desperate move to try and get money moving around in the economy. For the banks, it punishes them if they hold on to cash instead of extending loans to businesses or doing something with the money other than just holding on to it. Rates below zero have never been used before in an economy as large as the Eurozone, though. And I saw something interesting. Apparently, Deutsche Bank went back and examined interest rates over the long term, and I mean the long term. And right now we have the lowest interest rates in the Eurozone in the past 500 years. So when we say this is new, this is different, we don't really know what's going to happen because of it, this time it really is new and different.
Well, it certainly provides additional incentive for the Fed to hold off a while longer. We were talking about QE4, where they stopped their interest rate hikes, so this gives them a little more ammunition to sit tight. That's for sure. But the real question is, when are we going to negative interest rates?
That's the next question, of course. I don't know. I don't know if the Federal Reserve would go to negative interest rates. Right now, there's still a wide spread. When you look at the difference between, for example, the German 10-year Bund has a slightly positive return, right about 0.33, which is right about the same as the 3-month U.S. Treasury. Now, a 5-year German note has negative interest rates. The 10-year still pays a slight amount, though. There's a very wide spread here between what we have in the U.S. and what we're seeing in Europe and now over in Japan and some of these other places. And I don't know that we go too quickly to a negative from where we are now. That would be almost too much disruption to be thinking about.
Yeah, there'd have to be some life-threatening event or some major event going on. But we've had some of those before. But the bond market is strong here, even with stocks rallying.
But, that's a good point. What was it that happened in the past week in Japan that pushed the Bank of Japan to this point where they say, we're going negative, we're crossing the Rubicon? A week ago, they were saying, no, we're not going to do that. Today, boom. Is it just that they wanted the shock value of the thing? They wanted to not allow the markets to front-run their decision? Or is something falling apart?
Well, I think it's a little more conspiratorial than that. I think all the central bankers are in communication, and they're in cahoots is the only way I can best express it. And nothing happens in a vacuum, and Draghi doesn't do things in a vacuum, nor does the Bank of Japan. I don't believe China either, and Yellen, of course. So I think when things get desperate, somebody picks up the phone and things happen. I mean, that's my interpretation. I know it sounds conspiratorial, but I think they're all in cahoots, Sinclair.
Well, I would think that they would be in contact with one another. I think it would be probably irresponsible if they didn't contact one another, right?
Right, I guess not. And they're all working for the same goal. Get the it's a currency war to begin with, but we also know that they're trying to stimulate their economies by printing more and more paper. Sinclair, we ran out of time for this segment. I appreciate you spending a few minutes with us here on Wall Street Raw this Saturday morning, talking to Sinclair No, author of EatTheBankers.com, the great blog, and the financial commentator at KFNN Phoenix 1510. And thank you for spending a few minutes with us, Sinclair.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Mark.
Again, Sinclair, thank you for joining us. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about with regard to the manipulation on the part of the big banks, and it certainly did help the stock market here in the U.S. and Canada on Friday. And as you know, we had a significant correction, but we did have a negative, and we do have a negative January barometer, which in 2015 did warn that we would see a decline or at least poor performance in 2015. Indeed, that's what we saw in the market, and we're getting a similar warning. Doesn't mean the market can't rally during the year, have at sporadic points of strength as we saw here, or that with the political climate in the U.S. and the election coming up in November, that the market can't also take off, and I suspect that can also happen. But with aggressive central banks, as we're now seeing, it's really a wild card out there. The selling comes in for real reasons because really the world's in a recession. The U.S. looks like it's going into a recession, but the central bankers want to get the stock market up. So you got to be prepared for that technically and act accordingly. So I think this is a little bit of a bear bounce here, but it's overdue, and we'll have to see how the market unfolds here into the first quarter. But my best reading is that we're probably going to go back down again, or at least retest the lows we saw here in the last week or so. So stay tuned. We're going to be talking to my good friend Dr. Joel Wallach in segment 3, and my good friend Eric Haddock in segment 4.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at WallStreetRaw.com. At WallStreetRaw.com, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth, help you avoid the next big market crash, and also stay healthy to enjoy your wealth. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of the Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to WallStreetRaw.com and sign up for his free weekly Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free Gold News Raw report. You will receive both weekly, and both are totally free. No credit card information is required. Sign up today for your free Vice News Raw and Gold News Raw reports at WallStreetRaw.com. That's WallStreetRaw.com.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you have the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Are you still looking for that one iodine that you can really trust? A medical doctor-endorsed product that is backed by honest research and true integrative science? Then search no further. Go to NutriMedical.com for Dr. Bill Deagle's Nutriodine, proven time and time again to be the very best iodine available for you. Nutriodine is the only Tesla-activated monatomic plasma iodine in the world. It optimizes mitochondrial function and generation of new mitochondria from totally neutralizing the venom from a desert recluse spider bite in Southern California to eliminating malaria parasites reported by medical missionaries in central India. Dr. Bill's Nutriodine is simply the most powerful healing formula there is. Nutriodine clears the body of all known pathogens, restores it to an alkaline state, and even promotes stem cell regeneration. Order Dr. Bill's Nutriodine today at 888-212-8871 or visit us online at NutriMedical.com.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest price filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet anything that is thy neighbor.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw. Want to know more about Wall Street Raw and the Leibovit VR newsletters? Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com.
It's my pleasure welcoming back our good friend and regular guest, Dr. Joel Wallach, to Wall Street Raw on this Saturday morning. He's the author and narrator of the country's most famous audio cassette, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, and the doctor will tell us in a moment about how many millions of these have been distributed around the country. I know I heard it back in 1994, and it really influenced my life. Dr. Wallach comes from a varied background in medicine, starting on the veterinary side and then becoming a naturopathic doctor. I take his nutraceuticals myself. In fact, I've been a big follower of his products for many years, and it's helped me, and that's why we even talk about it on the show. I come back from a long background of organic foods and health diet from the 1970s, and when I discovered Dr. Wallach's stuff, it was a great supplement to what I was doing and realizing that we don't get all our nutrition from the foods that we eat. Good morning, Dr. Wallach, and thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you for your hospitality, Mark. Always appreciate being with you. And of course,
so tell us briefly a little bit about your background. What fascinated me so much when I heard your tapes years ago, and I'm sure our listeners would like to hear about it, how the veterinary background and working on the farm as a young man really influenced your life's direction and how we now benefit from that.
Absolutely. And, of course, as of today's date, there's 300 million of the Dead Doctors Don't Lie audio cassette and CDs sold. They're still going out the door at 50,000 a week, so we're very, very proud of that. Obviously, it struck a chord someplace. And my background is different, Mark. I do have a degree in agriculture. My major is in animal husbandry and nutrition, which really gave me the ability to formulate nutraceuticals in such a way that they're pleasant to take and had everything in there, the right ratios and amounts and so forth. My minor was in field crops and soil, so I learned about the value of the fertility of the soil, particularly mineral elements in the soil. Got my degree in veterinary medicine, got a postdoctoral fellowship in comparative pathology, so it's the equivalent of a PhD in pathology, doing autopsies in animals and people. One big project I did with Marlon Perkins from the old Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom show was a 10-year project. I did 20,000 autopsies for him on animals that died in the big zoos around the United States and 3,000 human beings who lived around the zoos and ate the same foods, breathed the same air, drank the same water. And that study resulted in a 1,200-page book, which is in the Smithsonian Institute, because the findings were revolutionary. They were looking for pollution, but it turns out that every animal and every human being who dies of what we'd call natural causes dies of a nutritional deficiency disease. And then, of course, as you point out, I went back to school back in the 70s and became a naturopathic physician, been practicing as a primary care physician in the United States, licensed in California and Oregon for 38 years.
In 1991, you were a Nobel Prize nominee. Tell me about that. Fascinating.
Well, that's because in 77, I found the first non-human case of cystic fibrosis in a primate that was born in a colony that were raising monkeys for the NASA program. That was at Emory University and Yerkes Primate Center in Atlanta, Georgia, and was able to track it back and realize that cystic fibrosis, which is thought still yet today by the medical community to be genetically transmitted, was not. It was a simple nutritional deficiency during pregnancy, and because it was a biochemical problem rather than a structural problem, it could be reversed even when the kid was 10 years old, 20 years old. And I've been working on that myself since 1978. And it's kind of interesting. When I proposed to them, Yerkes Primate Center and Emory University, that cystic fibrosis was really a nutritional deficiency during pregnancy, not genetically transmitted, they fired me. And so that's why it caused me to go to school up in Portland, Oregon, become a naturopathic physician, because I wanted to treat these kids because I knew how to prevent and reverse the disease.
Also, from your lectures, I remember the discussion about a lawsuit that you succeeded against the FDA regarding selenium and how this helps cancer. Tell me a little bit about that. That's fascinating.
Okay, well, actually, I've sued the FDA 9 times in federal court and prevailed each time, one of which certainly was the use of selenium to reduce the risk of cancers, and prevailed in federal court, and they appealed, and then prevailed in the appellate courts, and they appealed, and they signed off on it, just gave it to me on the steps of the Supreme Court because they knew we were going to beat them in the Supreme Court, too. I did the same thing with them with the omega-3 essential fatty acid deficiencies as the cause of thrombotic stroke and coronary thrombosis rather than cholesterol or saturated fat. I also sued them in federal court for putting selenium into baby formulas to prevent SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. I got a 3-fer because I actually prevailed earlier this year, and won that lawsuit to insist and force and make a requirement for manufacturers of baby formulas to put selenium in there for SIDS. But I also, that mineral deficiency, selenium deficiency, is the cause of cystic fibrosis and actually muscular dystrophy. So putting this in this formula, baby's formula, selenium, is going to deal with all 3 of those diseases. I'm very, very proud of that. And, of course, I gave Jerry Lewis the information 5 years ago, and the Muscular Dystrophy Foundation fired Jerry Lewis because they didn't want to deal with it. They wanted to keep believing that muscular dystrophy is genetic. All they had to do is take 25 of their worst kids, most egregiously afflicted with muscular dystrophy, and let me give them my program. If we could even heal one, it would have been a great, great day. But instead, they fired Jerry Lewis 5 years ago. That's why there has not been a telethon in the last 5 years. So the medical system, there's many failed theories, thousands of failed medical theories over each century, and the 20th century and 21st century is no different. Cholesterol doesn't cause heart disease. In fact, cholesterol deficiency is the cause of what? Oh, Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is a nutritional deficiency. It's certainly not genetic and is not caused by eating aluminum. I mean, they really came up with some really bizarre ideas. But Alzheimer's disease is a physician-caused disease because they put everybody on a cholesterol-restricted diet and they got people on cholesterol-lowering drugs, stand drugs, and that is the cause of Alzheimer's disease. It didn't exist 45 years ago, 45 years ago. It didn't exist 45 years ago, and today it's number 4 killer of adults over the age of 65 because doctors have driven people to consciously avoid an essential nutrient.
Dr. Wallach, in the 60 seconds we have left, tell us a little bit about the 90 essential minerals, vitamins that we take every day.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Well, basically all vertebrates. That's what I learned in that big project with Marlon Perkins and the 20,000 autopsies and 454 species of animals, found that alligators and crocodiles got type 2 diabetes, and hummingbirds and deer got sickle cell anemia. And so there's common threads between all vertebrates, whether you're a hummingbird or a crocodile or a human being or an elephant or a giraffe or a rat or a turtle or a fish. We all require these 90 essential nutrients, 16 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 essential fatty acids, and they're no longer in our food, so you must supplement if you're going to avoid as many as 900 different diseases. And this is why my programs work so well, because we do consciously support supplementing with all 90 essential nutrients. And then, Mark, we have a secret sauce, we call it, for each of the 900 different diseases. And guess what? They get better. They go away. When you give the body the raw materials, your own DNA and RNA and telomeres, little end caps in your chromosome, will heal your body because they have the equipment to do it. But you have to supplement.
Thank you, Dr. Wallach. It's my pleasure and honor having Dr. Joel Wallach with us again on our program. To learn more about his products, go to WallStreetRawHealth.com, where we list all his products, and we're going to have Dr. Wallach back real soon. Thank you again. I know you're traveling, and appreciate you getting us in on this Saturday morning, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Mark. God bless. Bye-bye.
Again, Dr. Wallach, thank you for being with us here in the short few seconds we have. We're going to be talking to my good friend Leibovit here in segment 4, but as a final note, I've been using his products for quite some time, and I would encourage you to follow this company, but in particular WallStreetRawHealth.com. Speak to you in segment 4.
You're listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovit. Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com for information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week Elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at WallStreetRaw.com. Here, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth, help you avoid the next big market tsunami, and also stay healthy to enjoy your wealth. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to WallStreetRaw.com and sign up for his free Vice News Raw report. You will receive it weekly, and it is totally free. No credit card information is required, and no one will call. Sign up today for your free Vice News Raw report at WallStreetRaw.com. That's WallStreetRaw.com for your free weekly report from Mark Leibovit and WallStreetRaw.com.
The Genesis Communications Network is one of America's premier broadcasters of captivating talk radio. We thank you for listening. Now, just imagine, there are thousands of people who are just as passionate about radio as you are. But what you may not realize is how easy and affordable it is to advertise with us. Radio commercials for your business could be heard on hundreds of radio stations across the U.S. every day. We can help you by creating an effective radio advertising campaign for your company. From script writing to producing your commercial, just like the one you're listening to right now. No other network provides the level of customer service we do. When it comes to radio advertising, we are your one-stop shop. And no matter how big or small your business is, we can help. Email us at advertise@GCNlive.com, and an experienced advertising executive will help you take the first step towards driving more customers to your business or website. Advertise@GCNlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Why be held hostage by your wireless carrier for 2 years? What if you had no contract, no activation fees, no hidden costs, tracking, tracing, harvesting customer data, or draconian gimmicks, all on the nation's best 4G LTE network? Introducing Pix Wireless. Bring your phone and other qualifying devices to Pix and choose a plan starting at only $14 a month. Get connected now. Call or click 1-866-267-2056 or PixWireless.com. Spelled P-I-X. Wireless.com. Pick Pix and get connected today.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
Removing bad taste and odor from your drinking water is easy. Removing the bad stuff you don't taste is what ProPure does best. Water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure countertop, inline, gravity, and household water filtration products. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533.
Responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
There is no freedom without the law.
Get it? Got it? Good.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw and the final segment with Mark Leibovit. Now, here's the elf himself.
Back, my good friend Eric Haddock here on Wall Street Raw on this Saturday morning at the end of January, early February. And Eric was with us a few weeks ago. So much has happened in the market, so we thought it would be a good opportunity to get an update. Eric Haddock publishes the Inside Track newsletter. He was first introduced to commodity futures and financial markets way back in 1979 and 80. As a trader and analyst who has been intimately involved with the markets now for over 30 years. His first introduction to technical analysis came through Fibonacci mathematics and the Elliott wave principle, which he began back in 1982. However, it was not until he discovered the works of W.D. Gann and Gann's integration of biblical and natural cycles that Eric knew that he discovered his life passion and purpose. The top of his newsletter has a great quote, which originally attracted me to Eric many years ago, which states, "Let us run with patience the race that is set before us," from Hebrews 12:1. Eric, thanks for joining us once again.
Oh, thanks for having me back, Mark. It's great to be here.
Didn't cover your whole background. There's so much to talk about. Obviously, you've been interviewed on a lot of networks over the years, and you've been doing this a long time. But in our previous interview, we concurred that the markets were in trouble, and indeed we had a huge sell-off here from mid-December into early January, and it appears from at least what you indicated and what I was looking at, we may have entered a bear market. So let's pick up from where we left off, and whatever you're comfortable in discussing, where are we?
Yeah, well, I definitely concur with that. I think that this has been kind of the first shoe to drop in that bear market. One thing I talked about for the last year was this combination of weekly and monthly cycles that came into play in mid-December 2015, and that immediately after that I thought was when the real trouble would start to hit the markets. And so I think we've seen kind of a strong validation of that, but only a first stage of a much bigger decline. I think we're taking a breather from that, but we could see it resume in February. And there's some price levels and some price patterns that I'm looking for that are setting up, and I think in the early days of February, they would be at the optimum position to generate another sell signal.
We have a lot of interesting things the first few days of February. Of course, we have Groundhog Day, which I sort of write about and joke about. Some of the studies I've done says the market tends to bottom within a couple of weeks of Groundhog Day on a temporary basis. But we also have the Chinese New Year, the year of the fire monkey. So a lot of interesting stuff here in early February, that's for sure.
Well, it's funny, as you mentioned those two things, I wasn't even paying attention to the Chinese New Year, although I really should. But I have been, since middle of last year, talking about the cycles in the Shanghai Composite, and that I thought that it would see a significant low in February of 2016. And the breakdown that we've seen since mid-December has kind of validated that. It's dropped to new lows for its overall decline, the decline that started last June. It's now lost close to 50% of its peak value. And so that's, from a timing standpoint, February would be an ideal time for it to see a bottom that holds for at least a couple of months. But the other thing, when you were mentioning the Groundhog Day, I've never thought of it in those terms, but one of the things that I wrote on years ago, that I looked at the year broken up into approximate 40-day periods. And obviously there would be 9 of them within a year, and that first 40 days of the year is kind of a whole testing and preparation phase, an old biblical and ancient principle of a period of testing or period of preparation. But that 40 days would kind of prepare for the rest of the year. And February 9th is that 40th day each year. And I have seen many turning points, kind of like you were talking about, right in that specific time frame. So it kind of ties in with that 1 to 2 weeks of Groundhog Day scenario that you just cited.
Always looking for these cycles, Eric. Of course, you're the master of it, but I jot a few down on my calendar all the time and just happen to come up, so that's on February 8th. Meanwhile, does it look like, and I don't want to say I agree or disagree because I want to get your opinion first, and it appears from what I'm seeing with the world already in recession, does it appear the U.S. is going into recession as well?
I think there certainly are the earmarks of that. I don't consider myself as much of an economist, so getting to the nitty-gritty of what's going to actually determine that, what GDP levels, what employment levels would categorize that. But I do think we are in for another economic downturn. How deep that goes, I don't know, but all the clues are there that we're ready for another, if it hasn't already taken hold, another wave down. And I think that, too, that discussion of the Chinese market, and I'm actually elaborating on this in my February newsletter, but that is an event that is still yet to play out, the ramifications of it. And, just like at the culmination of the Great Japan Miracle when it peaked in late 80s, early 90, it impacted many things like real estate, particularly in California, because the Japanese had been such big buyers leading into that peak. And here again, there's a lot of evidence that the Chinese have been big buyers, particularly in Southern California. I think Texas is another area that they identify an influx of Chinese money. And when their stock market drops 50%, at some point, investors have to start liquidating certain assets, and real estate often is at the top of that list. So we could see one of those kind of domino effect things start to take hold in 2016, where
We just ran out of time. We just ran out of time on our second.
Sorry, I wasn't even paying attention.
How do our listeners reach you for more information?
They can go to the website at insidetrack.com. That's INSIIDETRACK.com or 40yearcycle.com. 40yearcycle.com.
Eric, we never have enough time, but thank you so much for squeezing us in on the Saturday morning. Eric Haddock from the Inside Track newsletter, and hopefully we'll have you back real soon. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us on Wall Street Raw.
Thank you, Mark. It was great to be here.
Bye-bye. Always a pleasure having Eric on the program. And we were talking about a lot of interesting cycles, and we do have Groundhog Day coming up here on Tuesday. And in fact, I was talking about that at my World Outlook presentation here in Vancouver. But historically, the way that works is, of course, if the groundhog sees his shadow, that means, of course, winter is going to continue for several weeks into the future. But that's not what we were looking at. We're looking at the correlation of that reference to the equity markets, and there tends to be about a 70% probability that the markets tend to bottom within 2 weeks on a temporary basis of the Groundhog Day, and we've already seen that bottom come in here this past week or so in the stock market, so that tie-in with Groundhog Day and a possible trading low or intermediate low in the market tends to work pretty regularly. So I think that's really the point we wanted to make. Exciting week. We'll see what happens next week, but my gut feeling is we're going to see a little bit of a pullback here and then maybe a resumption afterwards, but I think the markets are in a bit of trouble here still into the first and possibly second quarter. As I always remind you each week, my good friend Ed Hart at the Old Financial News Network used to tell us, we will know in the fullness of time. Thanks for joining us here on Wall Street Raw, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.
Thank you for listening to Wall Street Raw with nationally recognized market timer and previous Wall Street Week Elf, Mark Leibovit. If you missed any of today's show or to get in touch with Mark, please go to WallStreetRawRadio.com. Any stocks or investment discussed on Wall Street Raw are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. We first recommend you seek out a licensed financial professional for advice. Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com for more information on Mark's newsletters and products.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at WallStreetRaw.com. At WallStreetRaw.com, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth, help you avoid the next big market crash, and also stay healthy to enjoy your wealth. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of the Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to WallStreetRaw.com and sign up for his free weekly Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free Gold News Raw report. You will receive both weekly, and both are totally free. No credit card information is required. Sign up today for your free Vice News Raw and Gold News Raw reports at WallStreetRaw.com. That's WallStreetRaw.com.
Are you sneezing, coughing, and aching? Do you have a sore throat, a fever, or the sniffles? There's no reason to be sick this cold and flu season with immune system support from Supernatural Silver. Supernatural Silver can give your body the help it needs to fight off harmful pathogens without hurting beneficial gut flora and without leaving behind resistant bacteria. Antibiotics can damage good microflora and often leave behind bacteria which can cause problems later on. If you're sick of being sick, try Supernatural Silver. Supernatural Silver, the #1 choice of thousands for a safe and effective way to protect against the many diseases and illnesses that we are facing today. Go to SupernaturalSilver.com, read our customer reviews, and see the life-changing results that people are having. That's SupernaturalSilver.com. SupernaturalSilver.com. Use the promo code PROTECTED for 20% off your entire order. And like us on Facebook. Supernatural Silver.